In this presentation, I'm going to be focusing on data for the trade area. And this is the people who live in the areas surrounding the BIA, which means not the BIA's boundaries specifically, but the area surrounding it. But before we jump into the data, I want to give some quick definitions that you may or may not know. For the first one is an index. Index is a scale at which we organize data from lower than average to average or higher than average. If you see blue in an index next to maybe a chart or a graph or a stat, if it's blue, it means it's lower than average. If it's white or gray, it means it's average. And if it's higher than average, it's likely going to be orange. The most important thing to remember is that the average is 100 considerably, but it has a range of 80 to 110, which is a range within which things are considered average. If it's higher than 110, then typically it's going to show up as orange. But the important note there is that to understand how much higher or lower than average a thing is subtracted by 100. So in this instance, 110 subtracted by 100 means it's 10% higher than the average, while 100 subtracted by 80 means it's 20% lower than average. For benchmark, it's a straightforward way of organizing data. If it's dark purple, it's representative of our data set, the data set for the trade area that we have about the area of people living the area surrounding the Corso Italia BIA. And the light purple is the benchmark, which is represented by stats that we have about Toronto. When it comes to the trade area, as I mentioned, area of the Corso Italia BIA would be within here. And this is really the mapping boundary that focuses on the trade area, which is inclusive of those that live within the areas surrounding the Corso Italia BIA. So who are these people? At a high level, this population consists of about 15,877, with that being 6,000 households approximately. The median age is 49. And what we've also noticed is that when you look at population by age, it's highly represented, but overrepresented by a high index of individuals living between 25 and 44. As you can see, that orange part in the middle of that chart, you see a high number of people representative in that area are over-indexed in this community. While when you look at the blue, it's overrepresented or underrepresenting an individual group of people under the age of 19. So what this really means is that when it comes to averages, there are more people who are in that 25 to 44 age range that's higher than the average than compared to the rest of Toronto, while on the other side, under 19 is underrepresented in this community. Additionally, what we've also noticed is age of children living at home is fairly consistent with the averages across Toronto, as you can see between the purple and dark purple and light purple age of children at home chart. But one thing that I do find interesting is that when it comes to age of children living at home that's 25 years or older, this community is over-indexing or overrepresented in individuals aged 25 years or older who are living at home, which can speak to a multitude of things in terms of livability and affordability of household housing in Toronto, as well as intergenerational households where young adults who have spent their time in that household are choosing to stay at home and to maybe care for their parents as well. Also, we've also seen that there is a lot of data that speaks to household size being fairly consistent with the averages across Toronto, but the only areas in which things are higher than average in Corso Italia is two-person households, and it's lower than average by a significant amount when it comes to 4- and 5-person households as well. What this means is that if you're a business that's looking to target individual age groups who are maybe within that range of 5 to 19 and are younger, it's best to really focus on another segment that is either one, outside of the trade area and are visitors to our community, or two, who are representative of individuals north of our postal code, north of our community of St. Clair, as well as another thing we've noticed is that historically speaking, the Corso Italia BA residents have spoken, an overwhelmingly high number of them spoke Italian or Portuguese, but that number is changing, and we're noticing also a significant change in this community as well, where 9.8% of trade area residents are currently only speaking Italian as their native language, while 8.616% of the trade area has a Spanish as their native language. What this means as an opportunity for businesses in the Corso Italia BIA is to consider multilingual signage, street posters, website, or social media content to be able to engage with these customers who may not be able to speak English fluently, but could benefit from your products or services. The importance here is that if you have individuals within your business who speak those languages, it is a value add to be able to provide that as a service offering to make the experience of shopping or engaging with your business a little more manageable and less daunting for folks who maybe can't speak English fluently. Additionally, in terms of opportunities to engage individuals who speak these, I guess, wide range of languages, there's an opportunity to also see how your business can collaborate with local community organizations, cultural centers, or language schools to potentially cross-promote each other as a way to say, we provide services that may be of interest to your community, but more importantly, we're able to find ways to accommodate so it's easier to shop or engage with us when it comes to our products or services. And lastly, on this slide, we're looking at residents using public transit at a rate that is 92% higher than the rest of the city. This is likely relevant to the fact that St. Clair West streetcar being such a valuable transit corridor for many individuals, as well as having major transit routes like Dufferin that people consistently frequent. However, the challenge here is that with that acknowledgement that the St. Clair streetcar being less active or under construction between September 2023 and September 2024, is to consider how you can take advantage of this opportunity in supporting an easier way for people to access your business that may be less reliant on convenience of the streetcar service. So what this could mean is that ensure your business has eye-catching signage visible from your nearest transit stop or street view that's from your window, available or on the street, and take advantage of the fact that Google business profiles can be updated to draw in commuters using Google Maps to promote your business. Now, this can include many different things, such as ensuring that your Google business profile, 1, is up and running, 2, up to date, and 3, including product listings and services as things that can draw a clearer picture of what your business provides to customers when they're searching in that area for maybe a restaurant, a bakery, a coffee shop, or a place to buy a pair of shoes. This can streamline your efforts and make it a lot easier to capture people who are using Google Maps to get around in their neighborhood or across the city as well. And then lastly, utilize transit stop advertising in the areas surrounding the BA. This is a great way to promote your business where there are dedicated billboards provided by the City of Toronto for transit stop advertising and street postering. Once again, this is a great way to promote promotions, limited time offers, or events that your business is currently providing to the community as a whole. Now that we know some demographic information, let's get a little deeper into who these people are. And the way we can do that is through prism profiles. So what is a prism profile? Well, at a high level, it's a system that breaks down demographics of a specific area by capturing and analyzing demographics, lifestyles, and values in a specific community. These profiles help to create a persona of specific customer segments that allow you to create an identity of the most common shoppers in your community or shoppers in a business that provide similar products or services that your business provides. The idea being here is a prism profile kind of serves as a custom profile of a potential shopper based on the different data that we have access to, including demographic, lifestyle, values, and spending habits. So what is the most popular profile for this particular community, which is Corso Italia's trade area? Well, for starters, it's Indieville. This branded customer profile is really representative of 74% of households in the trade area, which is a whopping number to consider, as typically these customer profiles are a little more balanced than what we are seeing here. It is over-indexed by 1,667 as compared to the average in Toronto, which once again means high representation of this single customer profile as compared to the many other customer profiles that are also represented in communities across the province, if not Canada. So what do we know about an Indieville person? Well, Indieville is a mix of younger and middle-aged singles and couples and first-generation Canadians. They're highly educated workforce. They're also typically working white-collar service sector jobs and are earlier in their career. They typically live in older, low-rise duplexes and apartments, semi-detached homes. They live active lifestyles. They like to go out and seek entertainment experiences at nightclubs, pop concerts, concerts in general, as well as art galleries. They take fitness seriously as a priority. They enjoy swimming, yoga, and Pilates. And based on some additional information that I have about this target group, that they also spend a lot more time and money on organized team sports as opposed to solo sports as well. They're tech savvy, they like to shop online for books, fashion, groceries in general, and they prefer to use online services as a way to either buy their products, services, or at least become educated about those products or services. So, what does this really mean for you as a business? How can you use this information and make it make sense for your business activities? Well, the first thing that you can do is really understand how to target them using the things that they care about the most, such as socially progressive messaging and making sure that your marketing messages align with their progressive values. Once again, this can be highlighting your company's commitment to diversity, equality, or ecological sustainability. As I mentioned earlier, they care about shopping convenience. So if there's ways to introduce e-commerce to your business or add new tools and technology to make it easier to maybe book an appointment with you or get information about products or services through their mobile phones, that's better because once again, they want to be met where they're at. And if they're online, it's a good thing to consider how you can get there as well. They also seriously take control of their lives and they really value creativity. So one way that you can appeal to this desire for personal control and creativity is by creating customizable products or experiences. This could be in package deals that you provide, whether it be through a restaurant like a price fixed menu, or making it convenient enough for them to build their own items as well based on what their interests are. So it could be build your own combo and allow them to have a set of options. And it varies once again in terms of even fashion styling. If you want to come up with different ways to promote as an apparel brand, how you can allow your customers to visually see the different ways that they could style items that you have within your store through social media, as in a series of photos that dictate the different items and the different ways they could be paired, speaking to the fact that their creativity can play into what they purchase and how they experience your product or service. There are many different examples of how you can institute personal control and creativity as a way to target this group, but it's important to consider how can you allow them to make a decision, but give them options to make the decision first. Next, cultural diversity celebration. Showcase cultural diversity in your marketing campaigns and celebrate different traditions and cultures. Emphasize your support for diversity and inclusion. What this could look like is also highlighting your own diverse backgrounds and cultural experiences of maybe the owners of the business or the team's culture, whatever it may be, to allow yourselves to speak about the cultural diversity and the ethnic makeup that makes your business so diverse, or at least speak to the ethnic makeup of your own interests. It's important to highlight these items as well because cultural diversity is a big thing for them as a target group, but more importantly, it allows you to speak to who you or your team that works within the business are and what they truly care about in terms of their cultural or ethnic background. And then lastly, community engagement. They truly care about their community. They want to support their community, and they love when there's opportunities to support or sponsor, or when businesses support or sponsor community events. And this creates opportunities for you to support or sponsor art galleries, comedy shows, and local volunteer opportunities that align with their interests, allowing communities to come together, but as a result of your actions. By aligning your marketing efforts with characteristics and values of individual residents, you can better connect with and engage the specific audience. Now that we understand the single prison profile that is representative of Corso Italia's trade area, specifically 75% of trade area residents, let's go a bit deeper to understand the social values or the values that underpin this one profile. We're going to speak of social values because it's very important to understand the values that these customers and residents hold dear. Social values help make individual decisions on a day-to-day basis about everything, whether it be how you go to work and treat people in your day-to-day life, also how you want to be communicated to, whether as a person in general, as a friend, but also maybe as a consumer as well. Social values also help inform decisions on how people choose to buy products or services in general, as well as engage with businesses. So it's very important to understand the values that underpin individuals' decisions on a day to day basis. And for the trade area, the social values are really reflective of what we just saw in this prison profile graphic. Specifically, one of the strongest social values is racial fusion, which speaks to what I've mentioned earlier around the interest and need to see and celebrate cultural events and holidays that are representative of your company's ethnic makeup or the trade area's makeup. If it's a more diverse team that you have, find ways to showcase and celebrate on social media the meaning and the history behind specific holiday food items that your business maybe provides as a restaurant or a bakery. Or if your team is celebrating diverse holidays, make sure that you take the time to also celebrate that with them, just in case that you're finding ways to either one, educate the community that may follow you about a specific holiday or event, but two, speak to the community that is maybe practicing that specific holiday or cultural event as well. It's important to put culture at the forefront of your marketing efforts because it speaks to deeper interests and needs that this residential trade area has. This is furthered by the idea of social learning being one of the top listed social values, which means people want to learn about other cultures through doing as opposed to doing research and looking online or reading books. So once again, creating opportunities for direct engagement in your store, in your business, through your products, through your services, to talk about there's a cultural or specific connection to your cultural background, speak to it. If there's a meaning behind it, there's an opportunity to tell a story that can connect with that audience, specifically in this trade area. Cultural diversity and social learning aren't the only strengths that people care about, in the Corso Italia trade area. Another thing that comes up consistently is this connection to the environment. One of the strongest values residents have is a strong interest in environmental protection, and they are concerned about the environment in general. Meanwhile, and one of the weakest values that they have is the idea that residents were against the belief that there's nothing that they can do for the environment. So there's, on one end, one of their two strongest values is a care for the environment and that they have a protection and interest in protecting the environment. And one of their weakest value is this understanding that they don't. The stronger social values aren't only represented by. Oh my God. Some of the other stronger social values represented in this Corso Italia trade area are a care and concern for the environment. In the strongest value section, residents have indicated that one of their strongest values are an interest in environmental protection and a concern about the environment. While in their weakest value section, they also ranked number one in a weakest value being that there's nothing that they can do to protect the environment. So all in all, there's a strong sense of connection to environmental conservation within the Corso Italia trade area. And the things that you can do to speak to this as an opportunity would be one, to identify ways to introduce eco-friendly products and packaging. That might be a better option as consumers feel companies should be help them be responsible for environmental responsibility. Also, find ways to leverage customer education and create content that educates your customers about not only your environmental efforts, but how they can support your sustainability goals. Seek or showcase environmental certifications such as B Corp certifications, or use fair trade products in your business's day-to-day operations, and engage the community in donation or charity initiatives across the board. Lastly, another thing to consider on this side is eco-friendly promotions and creating marketing campaigns that highlight your environmental initiatives and attract that eco-conscious consumer. But it doesn't stop there. There's other ways that you could also consider that may be more specific to your unique business, like waste reduction and composting for cafes and restaurants, looking at repurposing used coffee grounds and giving away these used coffee grounds to customers for seasonal gardening purposes. Additionally, retail could consider sourcing products from suppliers who prioritize eco-friendly materials, ethical production practices, and fair labor standards. Restaurants can use locally sourced, organic, and sustainably produced ingredients for your menu items. And if you're already doing any of these things, once again, it's important to very clearly highlight that in your marketing or promotions. And then service-based businesses can consider the environmental impact of your supply chain and potentially source products or materials that align with your sustainability goals. If your business is already doing any of these activities listed above, it is definitely worth sharing on social media or sharing this in your store in some form or fashion through signage and storytelling as well. Now, when it comes to your social media usage, it's important to look at this behavioral data from a lens of what can be done differently than you're currently doing based on the data that we have to share here. So, out of all the platforms available in terms of social media, residents are using Facebook 30.8% of the time, while using Instagram 32.4% of the time. Meta-based social media platforms are obviously, just like in every other community, the most used. However, weirdly enough, LinkedIn is used 29% more in Corso Italia than compared to the average in Toronto. As well as another piece that's worth sharing is that how households within this trade area are using social media. And in this instance, they're using social media to learn about products and services, which is 30.8% of the time, get coupons and discounts, which is 23.7% of the time, and enter contests, which is 23.7% of the time. So an opportunity based on these two data points that presents itself would be to consider ways that you can run contests on the top social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook to engage your audience, increase brand visibility, and grow your social media following. Some examples have been listed here, like the easy ones being like, comment, and share contests, caption contests, and newsletter referral contests. If you want to learn more, take a second to pause so you can read further. But these promotional campaigns are really good ways to speak to the ways that you can promote your business through social media based on the ways in which people like to use social media as well. So it allows you to maybe highlight a product through a like, share, and comment contest, but also allows them to leverage their interest in entering those contests and potentially getting discounts. So by using all the different ways they use social media and the ways they like to engage with products and services through a business, it allows you to maybe increase your chances of growing your following online. With the trade area having a higher than average usage of social media platforms like LinkedIn, there's an opportunity here to maybe engage with businesses, entrepreneurs, and people who are careful and concerned about their careers to find ways to get your business featured in their posts on LinkedIn. An example could be giving customers a minor discount, like 10% off a future purchase, if they feature your business. And this could be relevant for businesses who are in the retail space and fashion space that maybe provide suits and workwear, to say, if you create content that features our business, we'll give you a discount for a future purchase. Or if you're a restaurant or food-based business and you cater an event, a meeting or a workshop or a team social, allowing your business to be featured in those posts will also increase the audience and the number of viewers who are likely living in that trade area and using LinkedIn at a higher than average rate than the rest of Toronto. Using a platform like LinkedIn to promote a small business or an independent business is typically a little more challenging, but it's worth considering, especially if your business provides catering or fashion specifically for people in the workforce. We also have some behavioral data about how people are using newspapers in the Corso Italia trade area. Some examples include the trade area having a heavy readership of newspapers on a daily basis, which is 45% higher than the average in Toronto. There's a high readership in all sections of daily newspapers, and people are also using their mobile phones and computers to read the newspapers as well. But they're doing so at a rate of 11 to 69% more than the average Torontonian. What this means for you is that there's opportunities to consider how you can use newspaper advertising to promote yourself. One way is to maybe just not consider classifieds and look a little further into speaking about local content and stories that are relevant to your business's interests. Many local newspapers include sections featuring local businesses and community news, and you can contact the newspaper's editorial teams to pitch stories about your business, speaking to its history, community involvement, or unique products or services that may be interesting to their audience. Positive editorial content and coverage can be very highly valuable, but one easier way to do so is something called native content, where it allows you to pay for your business to have a custom article written for your business. Now, native content can be extremely beneficial, but due to cost, it's a bit, something that you should maybe consider strategically and carefully before doing so. And only maybe consider native content as a thing to pursue when maybe you're announcing a milestone, such as a certain number of years your business has been in operation. Let's say your 30th or 50th or 10-year anniversary, or maybe opening a new location or receiving an award, such as maybe a Michelin star, a sustainability award, or whatever it may be, that allows you to catch the audience through a milestone and maybe tell your story a little further about your business so you can attract that audience. And telling a unique story such as an interesting history, sustainability, community initiative, and promoting seasonal campaigns such as a holiday event can also be a useful way to maybe consider native content being an option for you. And lastly, well-made native content can be shared on social media and boosted by an advertisement, allowing new and existing followers to discover your business through established media outlets. So the idea being, you should create native content not for the sake of only getting viewers and people who are understanding and learning about your brand through the newspaper, but also as content that you can push out as an advertisement, a paid ad on social media platforms, because people trust in learning through newspapers. So if you can find ways for your business to be spoken of and spoken about in the newspaper, it does create an opportunity for you to speak to that interest in learning through newspapers as opposed to other places. Some more behavioral data, but now we're looking at how people are using internet and mobile phones. Barcodes being scanned through their mobile phones is a common thing that people have been doing for some time now. But this community of Corso Italia is doing it at a rate of 84% higher than average in Toronto. And residents are really comfortable with using their phones and the internet to actually access, print, redeem, download, discount, and coupons through their phones as well, which they're doing so at a rate that's 25% higher than the average in Toronto. So don't neglect the idea of using coupon codes or QR codes to promote in-store promotions, or use a QR code for signing up for a loyalty program and newsletters, or even having a QR code in a window display or outdoor signage to share limited time offers, daily or weekly specials. And QR codes could also direct customers to your social media platforms to make it easier for them to follow when they're in your actual store. And lastly, 8.7% of Corso Italia residents are using SMS, aka text messages, to receive store offers, which is 14% higher than the average in Toronto. So what this means for you is that if you have the option or are interested in setting up an SMS marketing app that can be maybe one of the standalone apps that you pay for or purchase, or may already exist within your point of sale software, as in Shopify or many of the other cash registers that are now digitized, take advantage of this opportunity to capture marketing initiatives through text message to share promotions, discounts, event notifications, appointment reminders, and many other things. And it can be a very easy thing to set up and a great way to keep your customers engaged and informed about your business. And the last piece around social media that we have to share today is how we can understand how trade residents like their information to be used. So 78.5% of trade area residents feel that social media companies should not be allowed to own or share their personal data. 63% of residents would be more open to participate in social media if they knew their personal information wouldn't be shared or owned by companies. And lastly, 21.6% of residents are open to receiving marketing messages through social media. So what this means is that when engaging customers with, in person or in social media, limit the amount of information you collect from the customers to a necessary amount only. And when you're collecting that information, it's important to let them know what it's going to be used for and why you're collecting it. So this is a great example when it comes to what I previously shared around SMS and social media, or SMS and text-based marketing. If you're collecting their phone number, letting them know, hey, it's to share promotions and special offers, or maybe give you updates to your next appointment, or when your next appointment is going to be starting. It's important to let them know what the information is being collected, because there is this overwhelming sense that there are things that are being used, like their data, for nefarious reasons. And it's important to let them know that they don't have to worry about that when it comes to sharing information with you. And lastly, when it comes down to this trade area, We have some data about their expenditures. And really, what this means is how much they're spending on household items. And in this case, households within Corso Italia are spending about 3,578 on food from restaurants, which is 25% lower than the city of Toronto. And then visitors to the Corso Italia trade area are spending a little more on food from restaurants at 4,593, so about $1,000 difference. But even that $1,000 difference is still 4% less than the average Torontonian. Meanwhile, food from stores is 15% lower than compared to the rest of the city. So even then, when we're not looking at restaurant spends, people in the trade area are also spending a little less on food from stores, including groceries and many other things. Maybe the reason for this is that maybe it could be residents are choosing to purchase groceries at larger big box or supermarkets, and that may be more cost conscious. But we're also seeing this trend consistent across the board when it comes to this nine key expenditure categories for household spend. Of those nine categories, households in the Corso Italia trade area are actually spending are spending 20 to 32% less on average than 6 out of 9 of those household categories. I've listed those categories there, but they include household operations, household furnishing, transportation, recreation, healthcare, tobacco, and alcohol. So all in all, residents of the Corso Italia trade area that also shop in the Corso Italia businesses are going to be more cost conscious and are spending less than average than the Torontonian, in the average Torontonian on food and household items as a whole.